Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. Second day of April 2021. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, hosting today's show. First hazardous weather graphic again, and winter storm warnings out from the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula eastward to the Fairbanks area and the upper Yukon Valley. And timing a little kind of from west to east, and actually the south coast of the Seward Peninsula, that winter storm warning, that's due to end at, 7 p.m. this evening. And for the interior, though, you get into Galena, or the lower Yukon River Valley area, Galena on down toward McGrath, or I'm sorry, not McGrath, but Grayling. That's out until 4 a.m. on Sunday, so that kicks in later tonight and continues through tomorrow night, or through tomorrow night, and into about 4 a.m. Sunday, while the central interior at Tanana, a good shot of snow still expected to come into the central interior there in toward Fairbanks. In fact, for Fairbanks, that winter storm warning is out until 11 a.m. Saturday, tomorrow, and is out until 4 p.m. Sunday. And in that time frame, looking for 8 to 12 inches of snow, possibly as much as 15 inches, heaviest around the hills around Fairbanks, and as it usually is. And also heavy snow expected up into the Yukon Flats, Fort Yukon, Chuck, Yitzhak, Beaver, in those areas, and into the western Alaska Range there, almost in the Denali Park area. Wind weather advisory for the northern Kuskokwim Valley, with a system coming in for lighter amounts of snow, maybe 3 to 5 inches, and also for the north side of the Seward Peninsula tonight and the northwest coast, wind weather advisory. And for the eastern Brooks Ranger, also wind weather advisory for the time frame, again, 11 a.m. Sunday until, 6 p.m. Sunday afternoon, or through Sunday afternoon. And in that time frame, 6 to 10 inches of snow, a little bit lighter, but still a pretty significant amount expected there. And could be some gusty winds, and that, if there are, that would greatly reduce the visibilities. So another winter storm coming through the interior for the weekend here. So we'll move on to satellite imagery. Cold high pressure, Arctic high pressure over the area overnight last night. Higher clouds now moving into the central interior ahead of all the moisture that's coming from the southwest, turning westerly there in the Bering Sea. And but overnight low temperatures were below zero. Kenai, 2 degrees below zero for a low, and about 3 below at Point Mackenzie there. And Willow, about 2 to 3 below zero as well. Even colder up in the North Slope. Umiat Airfield down to 36 below. Not bad for the 15th of, or for the 15th, the 2nd of April. Salcha there, southeast of Eielson Air Force Base, down to 26 below zero. Ambler minus 24. Stony there west of Cook Inlet, 21 degrees below zero. So pretty cold temperatures here for early April, and 10 below for Gulkana. That's not going to be the case tonight with all the clouds and moisture coming in and the snow. As you can see, a lot of moisture there over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. Otherwise, clear, mostly clear. Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound today, Copper River Basin, eastern interior, North Gulf Coast as well, in the northern Panhandle, and then that pinwheel cloud pattern and narrow band, a narrow occluded front there, keeping some rain and snow in over the southern southeast coast. Amounts not all that great. Let's see, I think Cake had about a half an inch of precipitation in the last 12 hours, Wrangell about 3/10 of an inch or so, and then on down across Prince of Wales Island, and the southern areas seeing some light rain and snow, trending more toward rain, especially at sea level here throughout the day today. And on the chart, you can see that low just off the south coast there in the wet conditions, kind of tapering off as you get up to the north, and clear skies, North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, mid and high level moisture on the increase and moving into central Alaska. Had some lingering light snow showers up around the Porcupine River on down to the Yukon River area, but amounts were quite light, and it was clear and cold, as I mentioned, over the North Slope and much of the central interior overnight. And of course now cloud, snow, wind on the increase. Cape Newnham had a peak wind gust of 55 miles an hour earlier today with that system in the low center that's pushing into Norton Sound there, while also wind gusts 45 miles an hour at Bethel. And let's see, Golovin this afternoon, anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of snow falling along the south coast of the Seward Peninsula, Nome to Golovin. Nome seeing winds gusting just under 40 miles an hour. Golovin to about 46 miles an hour. Winds on the increase into Kotzebue Sound as well, with Kotzebue gusts 40 miles an hour, and the temperature up to 0 now, and the snow about to move into the area if it hasn't already. And then that frontal boundary extends back to the west-southwest, bringing rain to the western Aleutians. And I probably pushed that rain zone a little too far inland there, but definitely it was raining at Cape Newnham, and temperature a little above freezing, so it's not quite pushing inland there like I have it drawn, but it may later tonight. Otherwise, look for mixed precipitation over the southwest interior there with the milder southwest flow. Dry for the Aleutians, more under the influence of that rather strong high off to the south there, so some clearing, variable clouds, a little breezy, but nothing too strong. And then that system out to the west, that's pretty weak. May see some small craft advisory level winds for Adak and Atka, with rain from Adak westward, and dry to the east. Lingering rain and snow showers, Alaska Peninsula. Increasing clouds, Cook Inlet tonight. Heavy snow moves into the central interior and pushes eastward. Lighter amounts of snow toward morning to the eastern border, and still a little unsettled over the Panhandle, but drying trend, and stays dried in the north there, and probably chillier, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay. And for Saturday, that low center not really pushing too far east too rapidly, but the southwest flow keeping the moisture right in through the central interior areas. But the north slope from about the Brooks Range of the Arctic coast stays dry. Increasing chances of snow, Cook Inlet, and chance of rain, northern Bristol Bay. Dry for the Alaska Peninsula. Dry, partly sunny, Kodiak Island. Cloudy for the eastern Aleutians. Rain, Adak and Atka. Clearing out again with high pressure starting to build over the far western Aleutians. And just some lingering possible rain or snow showers, northern Panhandle, partly sunny to the south, maybe even mostly sunny now that most of the action will be pulling off to your southeast. And then for Sunday, front pushes eastward. Look for the snow to begin tapering off in the afternoon, turning showery over the west central interior, drying out again, strong high pressure ridging up from the central Aleutians across the Bering Sea there, ahead of the next system pushing into the far western Bering Sea, coming out of the Russian Far East. Rain chances, Kodiak Island and the Alaska Peninsula. And southwest flow, another trough coming in, brings a chance of moisture to the northern Panhandle in the form of rain or snow, heaviest in the north, probably none in the south. Lows tonight, upper teens, northern Panhandle to lower 30s south and along the coast. And anywhere from 10 to 20 for south central Alaska. Staying above 0, Copper River Basin, lower 30s, Kodiak Island, upper 20s, lower 30s, Bristol Bay. And above 0 for the Tanana Valley, staying above 0, but running about 5 to 12. And then Brooks Range to the Arctic coast, well below 0. Mid-teens for the Nome area, about 12 for for Gamble. Lower 30s along the southwest coast, upper 30s Alaska Peninsula. Highs for tomorrow, 30 to 35 southern Alaska, except Homer may push up to 41, mid-40s there for Kodiak, and upper 30s to lower 40s for the Panhandle, just under 40 for Bristol Bay, milder though for the Alaska Peninsula, upper 20s, lower 30s for the Tanana Valley, central interior, and staying below 0 for the North Slope and Arctic coast, mid-teens St. Lawrence Island, lower 20s for the Nome area, lower 40s central Aleutians, mid-40s for the Alaska Peninsula. Lows following morning on Sunday, teens Copper River Basin, Susitna Valley, mid-20s. Prince William Sound and the Anchorage Palmer area to lower 30s toward Kachemak Bay, mid-30s above freezing Kodiak Island, upper 20s to mid-30s for the Panhandle. And up in the interior, 15 to 22 about sums it up for the Tanana Valley, below 0 Brooks Range of the Arctic coast, wrapping back below 0 for St. Lawrence Island, and mid-20s for the Pribilofs and 30s for the Aleutians to near 40, say, for Falls Pass, mid-30s Kodiak Island, highs 40s for the Panhandle, upper 30s to near 40 south central Alaska, mid-30s Copper River Basin, and right around 30 in the central interior.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphics, Saturday morning. We've got VFR there from the northwest coast, Kivalina up around the bend there in the Arctic coast. It's marginal VFR central north slope into the Brooks Range with the IFR, Seward Peninsula, Selawik, Kobuk, Koyukuk Valley there, Yukon Flats, quite a big area down into the central western and then southwest interior, down into Bristol Bay, across the Pribilofs, and really widespread there over the Aleutians, marginal VFR Alaska Peninsula, western Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, Fognak Island down to, looks like Pasagchak maybe, VFR right on up into Cook Inlet, marginal VFR Talkeetnas, Prince William Sound, and the eastern North Gulf Coast, or all on the North Gulf Coast, right along the north coast of the Panhandle, and Copper River Basin and Northway Tok up to about Eagle VFR. And then for the afternoon, let's see, IFR really solid, pretty solid in the interior now, except over toward the border, although it does up there to the north along Porcupine River extend to the Canadian border. And up to the Brooks Range, IFR about to the crest of the mountains there, but the Arctic coast and part of the North Slope, really good, VFR. VFR Western Aleutians, Western Northwest Bering Sea as well. But IFR there from Kiska Island eastward to the Western Alaska Peninsula. The Pribilof Islands still in the IFR zone, right on up into the southwest coast. As you can see, big chunk of interior Alaska into northern Cook Inlet, Madanuska, Susitna Valley, Turnagain, Connect Arms. And it looks like Kachemak Bay, Seldovia, Port Moller, and Homer becoming VFR, and the east side of Kodiak Island becoming VFR. Panhandle holds on to VFR with marginal stuff right along and off the coast. And then for Sunday morning, IFR right up to the just off the north coast now, all of the North Gulf Coast in IFR, Prince William Sound, and that extends northwest there across Connect Arm, Turnagain Arm, Passage Canal, Talkeetna Mountains, northern Susitna Valley, and then along and south of the Alaska Range, and also along the western Alaska Range, right on down to the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, westward to Adak, and then a narrow band there, Kuskokwim Bay, up across we're almost right along the Kuskokwim Mountains and wrapping back into eastern, or to Norton Bay there, and another band of IFR right along the Brooks Range and a little bit to the south there, again crossing, covering the Porcupine River, and still some areas of VFR for the Arctic coast, and widespread VFR now for the St. Lawrence Island area, much of the Bering Sea, western areas, that is, Amchitka Island westward. And then for the afternoon, next system brings some IFR into the far western Aleutians, module VFR, now up into the Pribilofs, and Adak VFR. Fox Islands IFR, Alaska Peninsula, to about to west of Port Hayden, IFR, marginal VFR for the Aleutian Range, Kodiak Island marginal, and into Cordova, Cape St. Elias, marginal VFR, and marginal VFR along the Kuskokwim River and part of the Yukon River, but becomes pretty widespread in the central eastern interior, just a smaller zone of IFR there along the east central Brooks Range. And now the Panhandle IFR with some marginal VFR in the central areas. And for the passes, Anatuvik, marginal becoming IFR, trending toward IFR also for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, pretty simple. IFR, lowest conditions, western entrance. And same forecast for rainy, IFR. Windy, IFR. And for Isabel, marginal becomes IFR in the afternoon. And Mentasta should hopefully stay VFR the entire day. And then Tanita, marginal VFR trending toward IFR throughout the afternoon. Portage, look for conditions to come down throughout the day, possibly VFR to start or marginal and then becoming IFR. Chilcoot and White, another VFR day. And for the freezing levels at the surface there, Nunivak Island, a little bit into the southwest interior there, and still south of Cook Inlet and then the North Gulf Coast, hugging the North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, 2,000 to 8,000 feet there over the south and southeast Bering Sea and the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. icing a zone, a pretty good zone, pretty widespread zone of isolated moderate rime icing central illusions right up into the southwest interior, actually right along the Yukon-Kuskokwim River Valley areas up to the Brooks Range, and that stuff mostly southeast of the Panhandle. Jet stream, southwest 140 into the southwest coast, and 65 to 85 knot westerlies translates into widespread moderate chop, southwest interior, Alaska Peninsula, eastern.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snyder, and joining us here today is Eric Stevens from the Geographic Information Network of Alaska at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, GINA for short. And Eric, you frequently come on the show to tell us about these really cool things that we're doing with satellites over Alaska and how we can use these really awesome tools. But I'm thinking all the while there has to be a mad scientist somewhere working on the next cool thing in the satellite laboratory. What is being developed today?
Right. Well, you know, when I was a kid growing up in the boonies in North Dakota there, on Sunday after church, the old people, like my parents and their parents, would gather and have coffee and talk. And I kind of eavesdropped on them a little bit. And the theme of a lot of these conversations seemed to be, well, isn't it amazing what they can do these days, someone would say.
Sure.
And I was thinking, oh, I don't know, I was too young.
Right.
Well, now I'm old enough in the weather satellite business.
You can remember when.
The new generation of weather satellites, I'm starting to say, isn't it amazing what they can do these days? Because it's always improving.
Yes.
Maybe an analogy here is like television. Television started in black and white, then it went to color. Analog signal transitioned to digital here a number of years ago. Standard definition becomes high definition. Right. Well, weather satellites are changing too. First weather satellites went up around 1960, not that long ago. No. It's comparatively young science. And every time a new series of satellite is launched, we learn from the past, so the mad scientists decide, well, we could make the next satellite even better in such and such a respect.
Yes.
And now the United States is on the verge of launching, or in progress of launching, a series of new geostationary satellites that are better than ever before. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the previews of what these new satellites can do.
Peek inside the lab here, okay.
Yeah, and so we'll peek in, and here are some mad scientists and mad technicians dressed in bunny suits. This is, believe it or not, this is the business end of a weather satellite under construction in a clean room. You don't want a speck of dust on the lens of a weather satellite's camera. So this is done in a clean environment. They are building a geostationary satellite there.
Oh, cool.
This new generation of satellites, if you had to answer the question, why are these better? Why do we care?
Okay.
You could answer it with 3 words: faster, better, more. The new generation of satellites are faster than the older ones. The images are sharper, they're better, and there's more spectral channels. We'll talk about that.
Any one of these called Steve Austin? It sounds faster, better, stronger.
Yeah. You know what, though? These things cost more than $6 million.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They're pricey. But they are an essential tool for the Weather Service to fulfill its mission of protecting lives and property.
Exactly.
You got to have the tool to do the job. And it helps all of us when we get the accurate forecast, the warning in time, and this is the tool. Faster. On left here, we see what the old generation of satellites could scan in 5 minutes. On the right, that's what you get in 5 minutes, the whole planet, or at least one side of it. So it's faster. That means you can take more images over a given amount of time and make smoother movie loops out of that. Because animating movie loops really helps you highlight a feature that maybe you can't see as well in a single image.
Absolutely does, yep.
Let's zoom into a small piece of real estate like Texas.
Sure.
And we can see here a satellite that has a 1-minute movie loop visible light. You can see thunderstorms boiling there.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, the rippling of the top of the thunderstorm. This is a fun movie loop. We're going to be able to see things like this more and more often because of the new satellites being generated. Some things are only evident in animation. So that's faster. Well, what's better? We're able to now have sharper imagery than before. The Japanese have a satellite that uses the same imager that is on the new generation of satellites that America is launching too. An imager, that's just a word for camera. It's the camera on a weather satellite. We have something called the Advanced Baseline Imager.
Sounds important.
ABI. It's important enough it has an acronym. Everything's an acronym. Well, an ABI-like instrument is here over the Western Pacific, and we can see this color image. This is what a human eye might see if you were riding on the satellite. But it's a little bit fuzzy. With new technology, you can post-process the image taken by the satellite to highlight and sharpen some of the features. So this image here of the Western Pacific then becomes this image. Thanks to the processing techniques, yes, this is the newest technology. So we've got a new satellite that can provide better data than ever before. And on the ground, we can process it better than before as well to really sharpen up the imagery and to give us a better view of the weather than ever before. So faster and better and more. What do we mean by more? Well, on the older generation of satellites, the imager, the camera, had 5 slices of the spectral pie, visible imagery, infrared imagery, something we can't see from the human eye. A lot of different slices of the pie. We're going from 5. The new imager has 16 slices. Each slice has its own relevance. Some are best for volcanic ash, for smoke, for dust, for telling the difference between smoke and dust, which can look similar under some infrared channels, but other ones bring out certain things. All of these 16 bands are important. In fact, some of the mad scientists, they didn't want 16, they wanted 24. There's always more you can do. But that'll be the next generation of satellites. So now we say, isn't it amazing what we can do these days? And you know what? It makes you think, well, what's the future going to be like too? It's so important to be able to know what's going on now in the weather. If you're going to forecast the future, you got to know where things are now. And satellites are the way to see that, especially in Alaska, where we don't have as many observations down on the ground. The satellites fill in the holes.
Yeah, really important stuff. And I love hearing about what we can see right now, but I love thinking about what is possible in the future. It's amazing stuff. And since you paid for it, it's a good time to learn about it. If you'd like, check out the website at www.goes-r.gov. And as I understand, it's a really easy website to use.
Oh yeah, a lot of good information about what these new satellites mean to Americans. And it's the Weather Service's mission to protect lives and property, and this is the tool how to do it.
Cool stuff, Eric. Thanks so much for sharing that with us today, and thank you for joining us right here in Alaska Weather Facts. We'll see you next time.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis, not much difference from yesterday with sea ice just south of St. Matthew Island there out in the Bering Sea of the heavier ice, and then on into just south of Cape Newenham, and then kind of varies in concentrations, become more varied and variable over northern Bristol Bay. And then pretty solid course up and through the Bering Strait and beyond. And Cook Inlet, not much change from yesterday, as well as Kamishak Bay. And looking at the coastal water forecast, not bad wind-wise coming up for Saturday. Light winds on the north coast, west to south, 10 knots, 6-foot seas. North to northwest breeze at 15 for the south coast. Variable winds over the southern inside waters. Stevens Passage, we'll call it north at 15, and Lynn Canal south at 10. Those will pick up to 20 knots for Lynn Canal on Sunday. Stevens Passage, south winds 15 knots, seas 3 feet. And the light south wind at 10 knots for Clarence Strait with 2-foot seas. A little breezier along the coast, a little more uniform too. Mostly west at 20 knots with 9-foot seas. Southwest 20 on the extreme north coast, 9-foot seas. Prince William Sound, light northwest wind at 10 knots with 2-foot seas for Saturday. Northern Cook Inlet, southwest at 10 knots and 15 knots south of the Forelands. West 15, Kamishak Bay. Barren Islands, west winds 20 knots, seas 4 feet. And the western North Gulf Coast, northwest at 15 and variable at 10 for the eastern North Gulf Coast. For Sunday, southwest 20 knots there for the Middleton Island area. Northeast 20 for Prince William Sound, seas at about 4 feet. Northwest 20, Northern Cook Inlet. And then small craft advisories south of the Forelands, including Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands, all 3 zones there. Out of the west at 30 knots with 8 to 10-foot seas. Small craft advisories for the western North Gulf Coast, west 25, seas 8 feet. Kodiak Island, these 25-knot winds for small craft advisories from the west and southwest tomorrow, 6-foot seas. Also the Alaska Peninsula, southwest 25 knots, 7 to 11-foot seas, and southwest winds right into Bristol Bay at 25 knots as well with 7-foot seas. Then for Sunday, they'll swing around to the northwest, come down about 20 knots for Bristol Bay, 6-foot seas. And Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula, look for northerly winds at 30 knots with 8-foot seas. And then Pacific side there, from Cape Sarachef to Castle Cape, west at 30, Then northwest 30, Castle Cape to Sitkinak, and then west winds 30 knots blowing across Kodiak and Fognak Islands, 8 to 10 foot seas. Fox Islands tomorrow, split it there. Unalaska Island southwest, 25 to 30 knots, 8 to 12 foot seas. Unmak Island south at 30 to 10 foot seas. Adakanatka south winds 30 knots, 9 to 11 foot seas. Amchitka Island north at 30 and Kiskashimi and Attu north 25. We'll swing around to the southwest from Shimia to Amchitka at 30 knots, 11 to 12 foot seas. Adakanatka, small craft advisories, west-northwest 25 to 30, seas 8 feet. And maybe some westerly gales there on the south side of Unalaska Island, otherwise 30 knot winds in the forecast, seas running 8 to 11 feet. Southwest coast, small craft advisories south of Nunivak Island for southwest winds 25 knots. Kick it up to 30 knots from the southwest with 13-foot seas for the Pribilofs. West 25, St. Matthew Island. Yukon Delta coast, St. Lawrence Island, Norton Sound, all southwest at 20 knots. And for Sunday, Norton Sound, northwest 20. Brisk wind advisory, St. Lawrence Island, northwest 25. Only 15 knots out of the northwest for the Yukon Delta coast, and small craft advisories continue for the Kuskokwim Delta coast. They're south of Nunivak Island, north at 25, northeast 30 for St. Matthew Island. Pribilofs, northwest at 20 with 8-foot seas. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, central and east side, 10 to 15 knots out of the east-northeast. And for the western coast there, brisk wind advisories, 25 knot northeasterly winds to 30 knots all the way down to Cape Thompson. And brisk wind advisories right to Wales for north winds 25 knots. Sunday shaping up like this: northwest 25, Wales to Cape Thompson, Cape Beaufort northwest 15, western and central Arctic coast west to 10, and north to northeast 10 to 15 for the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. For tonight, another cold night up there again. It stays dry, maybe an increase in the clouds there for the southern North Slope, spilling over the Berks Range, but still well below zero once again. Milder, though, definitely warmer over the interior with snow increasing and heading eastward. Winter storm warnings out for the central interior, and increasing clouds. Chance of mixed precipitation in the warmer air, west-southwest flow there, and kicking it along. There you go for Sunday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.